Hey, what's up, gang? This is a continuation from last Friday's video. So if you haven't watched that, there's a lot more context and content in there. This is more so a recap of the tournament that I had yesterday, which was like a 30-40 person tournament, pretty competitive, and talk about how I got dog walked and why I lost so bad. And one of them actually came from the recent changes that I did. So I added in a little bit more consistency. I added back in a Kuzaha, putting it to 3 Kuzaha and 4 Sakuya. I took out the Ancient Guru and I put in a second Venus. I added in, like I said earlier, that I was going to do, which is the 4th copy of the Evo plugin. And so while I don't consistently see my rookies anymore, I feel like that's fine. They're more so there as a consistent way of having access to Kaiser now, because I just really value Kaiser now a lot. I think this card's really strong, and being able to have consistent access to that feels great. Obviously, you can play the yellow bottom end, and you may see better success with it, because you can play things like the memory boosts and stuff. However, I can't think off the top of my head of any like specific yellow options between the cost of 2 to 5 that I really want to run that I think would be better than Kaiser Knell. However, in that yellow based deck, you can't play Kaiser Knell outside of Kazuhamon, which is really unfortunate in my opinion, because it's such a good combo enabler without the Kazuha being the thing that you do it. Mind you, I think this card is worse in the blue based deck because you can't play as many options that you can use to proc its effect like you can in like the yellow base. Yellow base also technically searches more, which is really good. However, we'll get into why I lost. So I played 3 matches before I ended up dropping. I lost round 2 and round 3 to the same deck. I lost to Gallant X, and it ended up being kind of a similar problem that I had in testing against Zafagamon. If your opponent is like immune to effects, it's really difficult for you to deal with it. Unfortunately, Gallant X is very good at being immune to effects. So being unable to like delete it with the Ruin Mode effect, the when attacking, or end of attack I mean, devastating. If it has the Ace underneath it, you can pass over 3 memory, which will typically put them within range to be affected again, but that will only happen after the end of attack. So that doesn't work. However, there's like a really niche play that I tried to do, which is cheat. Obviously, I tried to cheat, unintentionally mind you, I just got lost in the sauce, which was Taomon into Ruin Mode, keep turn, and then swing, but I didn't have a way to give the guy rush, so I was like, can he swing? I was like, no, you're right, he can't. I'm so stupid. Because the idea there was minus 5k from Ruin Mode, minus 4k from Tau, minus 5k from Ruin Mode, puts him at minus 14. His guy, who isn't that big anymore, I think that this Gallant X actually didn't have any buffs that lasted throughout the turn. Like, it didn't get like its wind rolling effect because of the Venus, and then he just kind of passed turn with it, which is really nice. Actually, hold on. No, I think it's a little bit too big. So that play wouldn't even work even if I was allowed to cheat, because he still would have been slightly too large because he was immune to Venus once he evoed because he passed turn with it, so it didn't even matter. Yeah, I double Venus my opponent in the game 1, and that wasn't enough to deal with it. And he swung in with the Gallant X, pops the... I'm not double Venus, I double Ruin Mode him. He pops the one of the Ruin Modes during his turn, so his board has minus 15k DP, and it doesn't matter because his Gallant X is still alive right now at 1000 DP, which is devastating. There's nothing I can do about that, unfortunately. And Venus doesn't work because obviously if they're at 0 memory or less, they're still able to checks because they're immune to the effects of all your opponent's Digimon, as well as is able to get their one attacking off. So truly devastating. Actually no answer in the deck, and the reason for that is because I ended up taking out the Ancient Garurumon. This card was a floodgate that I didn't know. It was a load bearing card that I didn't recognize its worth until after taking it out, and I was like, oh right, Gallant is actually completely unanswerable once it's out. The only other way you can kind of try playing around them is just getting a Ruin Mode out really early and then just like sticking 2 Ruin Modes every turn forcing them to evo up in the back into Gallant X, and then hoping by that time you have created a board that will kill them. Which is, I think, very unfeasible. Obviously not something you could do every single game. So, yeah. And then I lost game 2 to my opponent because of Talmon. Now, I know you're thinking, like, wow, this card's crazy good. And you're right. But I bricked. Now, some of you may be like, oh, that's okay. We could play, like, the yellow version, and that will resolve the issues. Well, unfortunately, no. Unfortunately, no. Because I didn't just brick in this game. I think I've discovered a problem that I've had with the ancient Greymon birds that I used to play a lot, which is, man, if you don't see your Goonimon, you die, and so you have to really search for it. In this matchup, with any matchup actually, just in the world in general, if you're playing Taolu, if you don't see Talmon, you die, because your deck doesn't do anything without Talmon. You've put so much of your energy into this card that if you don't see it, you die. And mind you, I searched really hard. Me and my opponent counted. I searched 30 cards. I think I drew 4 for like draws and stuff, and I searched 30. I didn't find them. And how did I search 30? Well, I did 2 Renamon, 2 Rika, 2 blue card, and then there were 2 Digivolution plugins and security, I think, was the way that we ended up getting there. And then I ended up using, I think, a scramble for another search, and then we didn't find it. Half of my Talmon were in security. I figured that some amount of them were in security based off after my first blue card, because I was like, okay, I've seen the top 11 cards of my deck, and I haven't found a Talmon yet. There's probably one in security, statistically speaking. I had a yellow scramble in hand, and I knew my opponent was going to start checking me. I should have played the yellow scramble out sooner. That was a misplay on my part. It genuinely was a misplay on my part to not yellow scramble earlier, but I was just so certain that I would see one, because statistically speaking, within the top 30 cards, hitting a single Talmon is I think it's like a 97%, let me double check the math real quick. It's a 97.9% chance to see a single Talmon within the top 30. You're almost guaranteed. There are only like 3 games out of 100 that you won't see a single Talmon, which is truly devastating, truly unfortunate. And I think that's just like the variance. Mind you, obviously, I think this problem applies in every deck. Like if you're playing Takamikazuchi, if you don't see your Fenrir Luga and you play 4 of them, and they're all 4 on the bottom of your deck, and you search top 30 cards of your deck over the course of like 2 to 3 turns, and you don't see them, there's nothing you can really do about that. You can't do your combo. That's the downside of, I think, playing a combo deck. I don't think there's anything you can do about that. Obviously, you can play maybe like a TK or 2 more to try and guarantee a search in your security every game, to make sure they're not locked in there. But like otherwise, it wasn't that my deck bricked. I had so many searchers. I had so many ways to dig. I was set up to a point where if I saw anything at any given point, I could have at least created a board. But even though I could have created a board, I still couldn't have dealt with what he had on it. Again, we just have a really hard time dealing with any effects or any just large immune bodies. Ancient Garurumon was the only way that we had an out to the Gallant X. But even with Gallant X having an out, other cards that are just like immune, like Zafaga or Tyrant, I think are really hard matchups for us. Unironically, I think those are very, very difficult matchups. And so going into this, I think you have to understand that if you're going to play a deck like this, you're going to lose to a deck that plays on a very unique axis right now. Is Zafaga good, or is Tyrant good? No, I think those are really bad decks. I think those are very, very bad decks, and I think that they will be beaten by everything else. But if you take this to a tournament, you may run into it between like rounds 1 and 3. You may get like really unlucky and you hit like the 1 or 2 Tyrant player that is like 1-0 right now, and he's like, oh hey, like I'm playing, oh my god, it's Taolu, and then you have no out to a Tyrant and you end up losing. Damn, which sucks. That's really, really bad. Otherwise, though, I think the deck is surprisingly really good. I know that may come as a surprise to you all that I'm surprised by it, But I've just heard like people talk really down on the deck as a whole. Like it seems to look a little bricky. It's not very consistent. Like yeah, you can like spit out like a ruin mode, but there's not much you can do with that. And unironically, I think that people are really undervaluing how wide this deck can go from one memory. If you just have combo going Taumon into Sakuya into Taumon. Like, it's super good. It's like Taumon into Sakuya into Kaiser now is crazy, because for, say we're at 1, for 5 memory, put our opponent at 4, we have got a level 5, we drew for Eva, we drew 2, we got a 6k blocking token now from the Sakuya effect, and then we put out the Taumon, and we can do more. So if we have more, there's a lot of extra stuff we can do as well. We can yellow scramble the Sakuya into a ruin mode for 2 memory here, putting them to 6, but now we have a ruin mode, which is a very common end board that I did throughout like a lot of practice, a lot of endpoints and stuff. It just feels really good to end on a 7 to 5, a 6k blocker token, and a 5k minus to your opponent's build. And then you can just do it again on your next turn, and then you can hard evo this guy, or you can just play out an option and go from there. There are a lot of different ways you can really do a lot. Other really cool stuff, like being able to go the same scenario here, and then we use a Digivolution plugin into Kazuha, and then we can interact with our opponent's board using a Sorai to then spit out the Taumon again using the Kazuhamon effect, and now we've ended on quite literally the same memory and everything. It just cost us an extra 2 cards, but this, we got the effect of the Sorai for free, and we get out a level 6 for free. That's really gross. That's really, really gross, really strong, and there's not many cards that can just answer it. And then from here, we can even just start gambling. At a point where you have a Taumon and a Sakuya on board, I think it's like almost like a fourth of our deck is hits at that point, and obviously depending on what's in hand, you know what's likely to be hit, because top 5 is an obscene amount. And this card's just a good searcher, by the way. Having a Rika and or a TK and a blue card in hand, it feels decent. Just go like TK for 4, pass turn, search top 5 of your search your security, add 1 if you want, preferably like obviously like a Taumon or a piece that you need, and then blue card next turn if you don't have anything to search out one of the pieces that you need if it's a Digimon card. Searching top 5 and just adding a Digimon is so good. I really enjoy it a lot. I was very unimpressed with blue card as a like, oh, it's just like a gamble machine. Like obviously like, you can set it up really well with double scramble by going scramble, place a guy on top, scramble, place a Taumon on top, add the Taumon, play out Taumon, go blue card, reveal top card, Digivolve into the guy you put back, which gives you a lot of options for what you want to do. But I think it's just a good card. I've been really impressed with it. That's my current take. I have to add back the Ancient Garurumon. I think that not Medieval Gallant, I think that Gallantmon is too popular of a deck not to be adding back in Ancient Guru. Obviously, I would need to take something out. My options are a Sorai or a Kazuha. Bring it down to 4-2 split between the Sakuyamon and the Kazuha, which feels a little bad. I'm not gonna lie to you. We could also take out one of the Kaiser Nails as an option here. Keep it 3-2, like so, which gives us some combo potential. Obviously, it won't be as consistent as before, but still feels pretty fine. And then maybe taking out one of the rookies. And just saying 5 rookies is enough for me. Obviously, we're playing this deck mainly for the blue source, so taking out the Kaiser Nail feels a little bit bad. And then you have to start questioning, well, if you're taking out the Kaiser Nail, is there a reason to be playing the blue source? Or could you just add in 2 Sakuyamon, cut out all 3 Kaiser Nail, and have like an extra slot, and then re-up your rookie count, and then adjust from there? And then you can even take it into the step of like, well, there's a lot of really good X-antibody cards now for the Sakuyamon line. We can even start playing with that a little bit. But I want to commit to this one more time. There's a case tournament for Eagle X's Discord on Sunday. This will be the deck I will be taking. I'm going to make just a couple, like 1 or 2 card adjustments to this list. I think it is still really good. I think it's able to succeed and perform to my expectations. But I think that will be the last chance I'm giving it. On Thursday, there will be a tournament in the Discord where I will be taking a revamped look at Dark Masters again, just because a lot of new cards came out, and I'm really excited to test some of those out and see how they feel in the list, as well as commit to a 4 Gallantmon style of deck and see how that feels going forward. But thank you guys so much for watching. I truly do appreciate you all. If you could do me a favor and leave a like and subscribe, it would mean a lot. I wish you all the best. Have a wonderful rest of your day.